Come on, Bam. Let's go.
Get out of the queue.
Come on, Bam. Bam, come on.
If you're here, you probably heard about a new TV show that came out on HBO called The Curious Case of Bam Margera. And you might be wondering why, although they used his name to promote the show, it wasn't even about him. And now he's come out on Instagram claiming he didn't know anything about it, but he must have signed the release form when he was high. And that's an excuse he likes to use a lot.
It's like you folk, we were flicking channels only to find on a 24-hour countdown on The Curious Case of what?
Bam Margera, Britney Spears, my two favorite people. However, I was a little confused on who it was really about.
So in this video, I'm going to explain what it's about and how addiction is used as a commodity, how people like you and me are used on the internet and manipulated to turn on each other by the tech and entertainment industry. And how do I know so much about it? Well, I believe this program tried to rage bait and include me in their plot line, only it didn't work, as I stayed out of the drama for a whole year and a half. And the reason for that is I didn't know any of these people personally, nor did I have any wish to go anywhere near a reality show masquerading as a documentary. And I was trolled and spoken about multiple times by some of the people that appeared in this program, and I was trying to figure out why, which is why I made the first video on this channel back in May 24. So I'm going to try and explain exactly what happened with the new information and hindsight that's come to light, as I know I'm not the only person that was affected. So first of all, it seems to me like they tried to make what I call the Poundland version of the Free Britney movement, the Free Bam movement.
I'm the Britney Spears of jackass. People have me so bad that I want the world to know.
And that's funny because I said all along the trolling was coming from the Free Britney movement, only Britney Spears was in a conservatorship for many years, whereas Bam Margera was in a guardianship for a year, which he agreed to under contract to Paramount Pictures with a woman called Lima Yevremovich, who's also in the program, as part of his well-being agreement when he was making the movie Jackass 4. These are all facts that were left out of the show, and the documents can be found in a lawsuit filed by Bam Margera against Paramount Pictures when he was fired, and he was contesting a $2 million trust fund that they'd offered to set up for his son. And I recently found out that a guy called Jed Wallace was hired by Paramount Pictures to be Bam Margera's well-being coach, and he was working with Nikki, Bam Margera's ex, and the mother of his son, whose brother just happened to be best friends with Albert Manero Jr., who was friends with Lima through her sisters and became a partner in her business, Aura. And we're going to go through some of the other facts, or lack of, from this TV show which claims to have done research.
We started to peel this back to say, wait a second, what is the truth here?
And the lies and misinformation they've told, whilst blaming users on social media for being the problem. And the production used these people, who either want to be famous or are famous, to make profits for themselves out of advertising and distribution rights, as I'm pretty sure none of them got paid. We're told in the show he was arrested in 2021 after his family tried an intervention, but this headline was from 2019. That's when they turned to Lima, a Hollywood entrepreneur working in the addiction and recovery industry.
She's known for innovative treatments and her willingness to tackle the toughest addictions.
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'd call Lima an entrepreneur. She seems to be pretty good at losing money, and she's not from Hollywood, and she's not well known. I mean, she does have a lot of followers, but do we even know if they're real? And I found out through my own research she was trying to get funding for a startup, and that she was pitching to venture capitalists, and that there were no financial records for her business other than a $14,000 payroll bridging loan applied for by Albert Manero during COVID. So I found that kind of at odds with the image she was projecting of it being a multi-million-dollar business. And I had also found out about the FDA report, which had been filed in July of 22, stating a 25-year-old black woman had died using the equipment. And I found another website that showed that all their licenses had expired. On the TV show, they said names on the report were redacted.
I did some research into Aura's safety records.
The funny thing is, we found this report during our research in the server, and they've blurred a bit out. But you can see the business name right there, Autonomous User Rehabilitation Agent. That's what Aura stands for. So unless there's another 25-year-old woman that died, who else could it be? And I had to edit out a lot of the original content here because of the copyright restrictions. But she's saying the FDA did not evaluate it.
Like, I am afraid that redacted would be Lima is using this technology on other vulnerable people against their will who will meet the same fate
So by October 23, I knew this was no longer a functioning business, which they don't even mention until right at the end of the show.
This is dangerous. You don't mess with people's brains.
And I also know that any research that has been done into using VR technology to help benefit people with mental health issues is very flimsy and compromised. There are actually psychology experts who say it would be dangerous for someone with PTSD to use it. In the program, they're passing the headsets around like it's a commercial, so it's misleading to show Aura's claims that it reduces relapse and increases successful patient outcomes. There's no evidence it did. And I'm glad I looked into it because a lot of people are asking about this product. It's something they're trying to push into our NHS onto people that have dementia. It's another way of funneling money into financial investments rather into what we really need, which is good healthcare and standards of living. But I've made plenty of videos about AI you can watch already. I would go so far as to challenge all of the claims Lima makes here, but because no one does the research or presents it in the media, she gets away with it.
Are you ready for me to put you in a triggering environment?
She says they're tracking behavior patterns, voice patterns, and biomarkers.
Ooh, I can hear that. That's triggering.
Again, I've had to censor it out, but she's making wild claims. Her licenses have long since run out, so I don't know how she's allowed to show this. At this point, she is just regurgitating the marketing blow. None of this is true. She says her software can predict if a patient is going to harm someone or relapse.
We've used it with veterans, we've used it with patients with severe mental illness, people struggling with addiction.
Lima had also made some very dubious claims about how homeless people should be locked up when she went on the Meet Kevin YouTube channel.
What I would do if it were up to me to reform the system is that nobody would be allowed to be homeless. Nobody would be allowed to be homeless.
And I think he's since been convicted of fraud. They don't mention any of that. And one of the reasons why so many people took an interest in this story, and that's Amanda Rabb. There are so many people making money out of homeless people content on YouTube, and at the top of the tree is a man called Mark Later.
See these homeless people panhandling on the street corner, and I'd be like, just get a job. It's like, come on.
He's a former Apple product photographer who will pay $20 to $40 to anyone who will spill their guts for him to get millions of views. But homeless people should get a job, right?
I interview drug addicts, drug dealers, gang members, sex workers, pimps, things like that.
Then he tells us how his following grew from hundreds to thousands to millions from interviews with these people. The first time his channel blew up was because of a S-worker called Kelly who didn't even want the video to stay up as her family had seen it. So then when a woman called Amanda Rabb's videos started to do well, he made a ton of videos on her. And Amanda Rabb is someone Bam Margera likes to bring up quite a bit when he's pissed people off.
So I was having a good old time at a castle in Nottingham, England, with my fiance until the door gets pounded down by 8 police officers, asked me if I want to hang myself. I said, why would I want to do that? They said somebody called from California with a very soft-spoken voice and was trying to 5150. I go, oh, Lima, that's you? Yeah, it worked in Florida numerous amounts of times on a Baker Act, locking me up for 90 days, but it ain't going to work here. Stay the away from me, Lima. And you know what? I'm finally getting the FBI to go after you to find out about your fake autopsy killing Amanda Rabb. You're done.
She was literally trying to kill herself on a daily basis.
He got millions of people to know about her on his channel. When she first appeared, she looked quite healthy and happy, but within months, she had lost loads of weight, and he claimed she was addicted to crack. And this was all going on in 2020, when we were experiencing the pandemic. And meanwhile, Lima's over there trying to get her tech business off the ground. She's trying to get her sisters off drugs, which we'll get to in a minute. She's applying for COVID payroll loans, and somehow she gets in contact with Mark Later. Did this have anything to do with Jed Wallace, who was hired by Paramount Pictures and worked for an interventionist company? Well, Amanda became the sort of poster girl for their company, and they all pushed this narrative that she was a hopeless case that they were going to rescue, with the help of the viewers' GoFundMes, of course. Only Amanda very sadly passed away in a treatment centre after she'd put back on a ton of weight, and there's been a long-standing argument over her autopsy results and how her funeral was treated.
I don't think anyone really knows exactly what happened.
Well, here's what they don't get into. People were very invested in what had happened to Amanda. They'd watched all these videos that he'd put up, knowing they're engaging with his audience, and that's why he's getting the views. And then there was the GoFundMe, and a lot of people wanted to know what happened to the money. And they've never been given the satisfactory answers or the transparency they wanted. Lima carried on the fundraising after she was dead. And this has gone on since it happened in May 21. And it was Mark who put out the statement to the media about her passing. And then there was the quickly arranged inappropriate funeral when Lima did more of her fake crying. And then he had Lima on to read the alleged email from the coroner's court. And if you think about it, he could have done a lot more to at least try and investigate her death. Because the facility she was in, Desert Hope in Nevada, which is a whole different state to where her treatment was court-ordered, has a history of being sued for people dying in their care. And they're the ones we get to hear about. And it's very dodgy that this woman, Melissa, was employed by the corporation that owns Desert Hope, was also allegedly employed by Aura. She was featured on their website until Lima deleted it all. And for me, it seems like a huge conflict of interest that you can work for a non-existent tech company and use their equipment in the facility, which, by the way, is paid for by insurance companies. And then there's the quote-unquote hired coroner, Dr. Paul Uribe. Now, there's other videos that go into him, but the TV show neglects to mention any of this and does not acknowledge that Mark later had every reason to keep this from people and not look into it, because it would show his involvement in a very bad light. They're basically using homeless addicts for profit. All of them. That facility was in serious legal and financial trouble since 2020. But he's given this opportunity to tell anyone watching his version of the story, which is Amanda was a hardcore addict and Lima was just there to help. And as for how bad this technology is, I have been to Skid Row in person and this is not what it looks like. Lima posted on her own Instagram account the software they were using in their own home, purchased from another company, but they presented us with a Frankenstein version which had her promotional advertising in it. In this bit of the interview, he says Amanda is the worst example of a crackhead he's ever seen on Skid Row. Again, from my own experience, I find that hard to believe when I've been there and seen people in much worse state. Like I said, when she first appeared on his channel, she looked healthy. Amanda's not here to tell her story anymore, so they can say whatever they want.
If that doesn't show everyone how effective this kind of treatment can be, then I don't know what better selling tool there could be.
Definitely.
And I find it really sus that her quote-unquote father, Larry Rabb, has his face blurred out, which means he didn't want to be on the show or wasn't asked. They even beeped out his name.
We have Amanda's father.
If that was really his daughter and he wanted justice for her, wouldn't he want to be involved in this or have something to say?
So on Sunday, May 9th, the treatment center staff walked into Amanda's room thinking that she was just peacefully sleeping and realized that she had passed away. Sorry.
So in December 21, Lima is on Mark Later's channel again, where she's holding a piece of paper that she reads word for word.
I'm just going to read it word for word of what we got.
Which we're told is a correspondence from the coroner's office telling us the cause of Amanda's death.
I don't know what Lima is reading in that video. She claims it was an email from the coroner's office.
There's been several videos made going through the details of Amanda Rabb's autopsy. She's going with the line it was natural causes, and that there was no mention of a seizure disorder.
Was Lima given one set of facts and the public given another?
Well, it's funny you should say that because that's exactly what's happening in this TV show. They're about to go along with the unverified story that Amanda ended up in jail for hitting her father with a pipe and that Lima was her legal guardian. Only Lima herself said that didn't happen.
So tell me what happened.
Amanda's, she's in jail for an assault.
Assault on you?
On me.
With a pipe?
With the pipe. She's been locked up now for a few weeks. She has a court date, but we have to petition to try to get conservatorship. And Miss Lima shows up and petitions. Her appearance and her presence made the difference.
So here they're selling us the idea that you can have a court-ordered treatment program instead of a jail sentence. But here's the next lie.
In this instance, Lima is Amanda's legal guardian.
We attempted to file an LPS conservatorship, but Amanda's public defender was overwhelmed with how many cases he had, so he never filed the documentation. And so essentially we just pled to the court for a court order. So Amanda was never under guardianship. She was never under conservatorship.
So at this point, they try and reinforce the idea that Bam's family reached out to Lima because of her experience with conservatorship. What experience did she have? She's just said she did not successfully become Amanda's guardian. That's the only one I know of. That's where I think Jed Wallace comes in.
I became Bam's guardian in June of 2021.
So then she says she became the guardian because no one else wanted to do the role.
Nobody wanted to be the bad guy that had to say no or you have to do this.
Maybe that's because you can't force an addict into rehabilitation. It's never going to work until they address their own issues.
So that's why I threw $10,000 off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Sometimes have we talked about the fact that a guardian's like a parent.
Have you ever
This a mom-son relationship.
I'm no expert here, but that doesn't sound very healthy to me. He already has a mum who hasn't been able to keep him sober. But then Steve-O's brought in to say he thought it was a great idea to keep him sober and out of trouble, only that hasn't worked out. Now, I've already shown that in a legal document, Bam Margera agreed to Lima becoming his legal guardian. And whenever he regrets a decision, he has a habit of saying he was high and ambushed and made to sign something he didn't want to. And I think he regrets getting involved in this TV show.
Man, if I signed off on that, they didn't blur my face, I don't remember shit. I was probably higher than Jiminy Cricket on bath salts in that treatment center on 18 different medications.
Yeah.
But after watching it, I'm finally glad that somebody did the research to expose Lima and her nutty behavior. You know,
The curiosity of what actually
faking an
happened.
autopsy report on Amanda Rabb's death and making people wear this aura helmet unlicensed. I put that shit on. Any drug addict could go in a seizure from that.
Anybody would.
Well, you see T-Rex in your left eye and he's trying to eat you, and on the left eye it's a kitty cat licking milk.
Terrible.
So it's very confusing, but you know, you can be on so many drugs thinking that shit's real and go into a seizure. Now, I can tell you this. I'm 45 years old. I have not gone into any seizures in my lifetime until I met Lima at the age of 43. I went into 5 seizures, 20 minutes apiece, only to wake up 8 days on life support with a fucking tube down my throat with COVID and pneumonia.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, so it doesn't take a science rocket to figure out that that's not a coincidence.
And there's been a lot of question about her, so we're very grateful that that's been said and out there, and you didn't look horrible, and everyone knows that he has a happy ending and he's doing great.
I don't know how low your bar of doing great is, but you do not need to be an expert to see that this guy is not sober and he makes terrible decisions. Is he going to say that this was a setup, posing with Marilyn Manson? Or does this have anything to do with astroturfing, which we're going to get onto?
Know exactly what he needs and truly just want him to get better.
The thing is, she doesn't know exactly what he needs. Whoever thought this TV show would be good for his well-being should also be called into question. Now we're going to get into the Free Bam movement, the involvement of BJ Investigates, and why we're here. And this is the bit of the story I was involved in. I've already spoken about it before I even knew if this show was really happening. And as we've seen so far how poor the accuracy and research has been, it's not surprising that myself and the others were not contacted about this alleged group called That Surprise Army. And I just want to say before I go any further that it's okay to make mistakes. We all do it. It's never too late to say, oh, I must have got something wrong.
There was a Discord server started that was called That Surprise Army.
I already posted a video in May 24 where I had already called out this guy who joined the server 2 days before it pretty much ended, and it was not called That Surprise Army. It was called The Goddess is Rising. So maybe he's been misinformed. The owner, a creator called High Priestess Steph, and the reason we joined it, as I said in the video, did not want to call it that. Because Lima had already tried to use it in her defamation lawsuit when Steph had said it kind of as a joke in one of her videos. And it started in mid-August and he joined on October the 2nd. I asked him to complete one of the verification stages, which was just to do a voice note introduction because I didn't know who he was. He refused, so that was when I decided to look him up, and I was a little bit perplexed as to why he would want to join a Discord server called The Goddess is Rising.
I know. Hey, dipshits, I'm here.
You still here?
Hey, you want me to delete this?
You fucking better.
Huh? I'm sorry.
You fucking better.
Why do you got to be so ignorant, bro? I'm on your side.
Dude,
So to find out he's now the spokesperson, I was a little bit shocked.
what it was
yes,
BJ's more proactive, I guess you could say biggest fans, taking it upon themselves.
He says they were taking it upon themselves to find out as much info as they could to get Bam out of the conservatorship with Lima. So the conservatorship ended in 2022. Why am I going to join a Discord server in August 23 to help him get out of a conservatorship? Or guardianship, whatever. So I'm assuming the production company hasn't been told or didn't bother to find out that this Discord server started in August 23 and was over by the beginning of October. And at the time, Lima was suing BJ for defamation. But it does explain why the people in the TV show didn't stop talking about it for the next however many months. They would use all these different social media accounts so you didn't know who anyone was. It started with making stupid posts, calling people snakes, harassing them in comments, bringing up their real names or doxing, and then finding pictures of their family online. Then we found they did this clown face painting and used the expression FAFO, and I had never seen anything like this. But it went on and on. They would make videos and delete them. Accounts would disappear or change names. And I found out they were in contact with Lima and people from the Free Britney movement. They kept on tagging hot snakes, and that was when I remembered that it was BJ who wanted to be involved in the program back in June 23, which I showed in my first video.
They're making a documentary about the Free Bam movement. This article was posted last month, and nobody bothered to reach out to the founder and the leader of the Free Bam movement. How'd that work?
This is when BJ asked her audience for their help.
Everybody responded in a different way.
She said she posted addresses and did what she called doxing. Could that explain some of the Reddit posts that were going around?
Doing a lot of what I call doxing.
Now, this woman, I think we all know her name is Jamie Gilmore. I've never encountered anyone that lies as much as her, although Lima comes in as a close second. I don't really need to say anything about her, even though she's said a lot about me. She does 11-hour streams. I can't even cope with 2 hours. I do think she has addiction issues, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying. I honestly had no idea these kind of people existed until this all happened, and that's why I'm making this video, because you will never look at the comment section in the same way again.
Her followers began intently discussing the videos.
I see what they're trying to do here, and I do think BJ kind of walked into this one.
Lima is just a manipulative mastermind.
It was a bit naive to think that this was going to be about you, and I was a bit amazed when you said you had done the interview for the show. See, what this Beth woman or whoever's written the script for her doesn't understand. We're just a viewer watching YouTube. Not everyone on YouTube is the same. We're coming from all over the world. We're coming from different backgrounds. And I didn't used to follow BJ. I just used to watch her videos. And I'm pretty sure the 2 people that have been picked for this program weren't her followers either. I know Jamie was invited to join the server by one of her superfans, but we're going to get onto that. And the content is shown to us by the algorithm. Before Bam Margera took over her life, she did used to do some interesting content. And in 2022, when virtual reality hell came out, Bam Margera content was being pushed in the algorithm, and a lot of people watched it. And I wanted to look into the facts of the story for myself, and so did other people. And I've already explained this in my first video. I'm starting to feel this theme of let's blame people on social media for causing all this trouble. I know for a fact that no one that was legitimately in our server ever posted anything. They shouldn't have. We were just there to support another creator. Lima told everyone to do their own research, and I'm starting to think that this idea of the surprise army was kind of put together by the TV show to suit the narrative Lima's been spinning since 2019. She says she's had instances where people have pushed her, confronted her, or spat on her in public. And meanwhile, there's a shot of Jamie walking up the pathway. This is where she says people have been to her front door. Again, I can't play the whole audio because I'm trying to comply with the copyright.
I know that the creator of the server went to her house and was spotted on camera.
Now, if this was true, why would Lima be in contact with her and ask her to make a declaration in her lawsuit of defamation against BJ instead of reporting it or finding out if it was even true. And Lima's been talking about death threats and people wanting to find her sisters since she went on Mark Later's channel in 2020. So why is this now being put onto BJ? And why did she not show the camera pictures in the lawsuit? And now her boyfriend is in the TV show as a member of the fan club. And why is there a misleading shot of a very fancy neighborhood when we know the incident she's referring to happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma? And we have no idea if the family still even lived there at that time. And for anyone who doesn't know, Dahlia posted her own address on her own YouTube channel, Dandelion, which is also nothing like the image shown on the show. And to be clear, the creator of the server, who BJ was following on Instagram, she had befriended High Priestess Steph in the comments and gifted it to her. And Steph lives in the UK, and no one lived anywhere near Lima. It would have taken them hours or days to go and find her. So it's all very far-fetched. And these are the awkward questions that should have been asked. But this program is not factual. And when this creator of the server who was in the server posted a reel, let's go to the apartment, and tagged BJ, she said, no, don't do that. And when I asked her if she had any photos, she just showed us some screenshots from the property website. So I do not believe she ever went there. The only reason why I know about any of this stuff is because she tagged me in the reel, and I asked her not to, and I don't think she liked it. So after she started making posts about me, I did want to know more. Anyway, if someone could let Lima's mum Linda know about all of this, it might help put her mind at rest, instead of putting out more misinformation, which is only going to make it worse.
As a result of BJ's content, the lies, and her followers, our life, my life, become that we always on the run, because all the harassment that we are getting, and my daughters too.
Okay, so she says they've been affected mentally and physically, and they're absolutely terrified and always on the run. But your daughter Lima's been going online since 2019 saying that people have been threatening her sisters. She's been using them to promote her brand. Firstly, she said they had dissociative identity disorder, got mixed up with Trisha Paytas, who's a much bigger creator than BJ.
Previous to all of the videos that Trisha Paytas had made and the attacks on the DID community that followed from that, my sisters were talking about getting back into YouTube.
And she also went on the Adam 22 podcast, where people have even allegedly shot each other, talking about insurance companies.
Why would Lima want to help? Obviously there's an angle, and that's the thing that the internet cannot understand. And if you want to know why I would help, just to read the petition. You know, like,
Right.
It's literally laid out so that insurance companies pay for my sister's treatment.
There's no getting away from the fact that she's used her family's trauma to market her business. From the very first time she went on Mark Later's channel to now.
I grew up in Canada.
She says she grew up with her mum and dad and her twin sisters, Dahlia and Dia.
A family member was very abusive to my sisters and I.
Lima Yemramovich?
Yabramovich. So our father, growing up, was very abusive to my sisters and I. And my mom left when I was about 5 years old and my sisters were around 3 years old.
They're being doxxed and they're attacked on social media. People are showing up at their doorstep. It's harassment.
There is not one bit of evidence in this program to verify any of these claims. Lima has a history of 6 years saying she's been threatened on social media, and she's never shown one receipt of anyone showing up at her house, and her addresses were public information. And I'm pretty sure she's connected to Jed Wallace, who's popped up in the Justin Baldoni lawsuit against the New York Times. As well as being hired by Paramount Pictures, he was hired by Melissa Nathan, the top crisis PR, to head up the social combat plan, who worked for Johnny Depp in the Amber Heard trial. And these kind of comments are exactly what they specialise in. We now know it's called astroturfing. Bam Margera, if you go to his social media accounts, has a very toxic fan base, as does the Free Britney movement. So this is all starting to make a lot more sense.
It all seems to stem from the idea that Lima lied about Amanda Rabb's death, suggesting that she's trying to cover something up.
Working with Mark Later and Bam Margera brought attention to her and made it worse.
My sisters were finally properly diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, which is extremely dangerous to treat with antipsychotics. Doctors were giving them cocktails of antipsychotics, benzo, so Klonopin and Xanax, and eventually, because the Klonopin destroys the reward receptors, somebody prescribed them Suboxone, which is a synthetic opioid, and they ended up developing a full-blown opioid and benzo addiction that's completely destroyed our family.
So it's the drugs, not comments on social media, that destroyed the family. If you're going to use people that have personality disorders and addictions to make money and then lie about it, people are going to get angry. And that takes us to BJ Investigates, or that surprise witness, because she had coined the catchphrase, facts ain't defamation.
Someone alerted me Bam Margera was in a conservatorship.
So this all goes back to the Jackass movie produced by Paramount Pictures.
Jackass has put me through f***ing hell. Jackass was everything to me.
So like I said, he was fired from the film and trying to get more money out of them, which ended up in a court case. And around this time, the Instagram rants he was doing were going viral. Steve-O saying Jackass was never about alcohol or drugs. And then we're shown the footage captured in the summer of 23 outside a restaurant where he was very drunk, shouting at his family, and was arrested. Which, when I saw it, I wasn't too impressed about. I didn't really know who Bam Margera was. I'd heard of Jackass on MTV. It's not really my cup of tea. But in 2021, when this all started, he was suing Paramount Pictures, trying to stop the release of the movie. His lawyers were saying he'd been unfairly dismissed from the film, and that he was disabled, suffering from bipolar disorder, ADD, and he struggled with an eating disorder and addiction. And so suddenly all these stories about him are going viral. And that surprise witness, BJ, was making a lot of videos about it, but so were a lot of other people. And it was interesting to hear about this Florida shuffle and how addicts were treated as a commodity. And she was showing us body cam footage where Lima was calling the police and they were going to arrest him and put him back into the facility.
Officer Bellman, it's Lima calling back. I had something just quickly I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Okay, so regarding his location, can you please not mention that I shared the location with you, because I don't want him to lose trust in me and not share things with me.
So showing how Lima used the police to suit her own needs, it was pretty interesting. And she's doing the same thing in the TV show under the instruction of the production company. And in this respect, YouTube is very educational. A lot of us are trying to figure out how the hell we get out of this mess we're in right now. The evidence that the police are corrupt and suit their own agendas, people want to know about it. And there's many channels on YouTube that show police cam footage. So we see how often they're called to deal with members of the public struggling with drugs and alcohol addiction. And nearly everyone has some kind of experience of a family member or someone they know going through this. And domestic violence is something that for years women have had to keep to themselves. And at the time of this all going on, BJ was presenting herself as a journalist, which if you're just watching the videos on YouTube, how do you know if she is or not? Well, you keep watching to find out more. But this TV show is trying to frame us viewers as being really dumb. And Lima's first appearance on Soft White Underbelly, she's selling a data collection treatment service for addicts that she wants to scale by getting more investment. And that is something we should be questioning.
What do you guys do?
So we're all about data-driven healing. Our goal is to use technology to scale affordable, high-quality treatment services.
I don't remember if it was before or during, but somewhere in all of this, BJ made a video, now deleted, about quitting her corporate law firm job, and another one where she broke down and told us she was giving up her law license in the name of truth and justice. So I thought she was taking an anti-corporate stance. And I want to follow more female creators, but I've since come to realise that crying on camera is very manipulative.
I have to move forward with my purpose. Currently is further service to the truth and justice. And that's what I will be doing.
It now seems like she was using the free BAM movement to leverage her status, and she was developing a very unhealthy relationship. I remember her saying she didn't want to be friends with him, as an independent journalist shouldn't. When he contacted her and came to her house, it was like she lost it.
So there's a cameo that pays me money to have me say what they want to say, and I just got done watching a conspiracy video that somebody made about
probably
Lima.
mine.
I watched it halfway through and got really confused and did not know what the Florida Shuffle was. So it was one big up yesterday.
I'll tell you what this is. This is Lima showing up to Aunt Missy's house in Sarasota, Florida, making me say that.
This is known as the hostage video.
And do you know that I didn't want to say that, but she like kind of made me?
Because of Ivan?
That's Lima's husband.
Well, Ivan apparently spent $300,000 or more on helping me go to rehab, and
why would he do that?
I don't know, but he's a rad dude. But anyway,
is he?
He shows up, and because he paid $300,000, I could have paid $300,000 of my own money but I already spent $660,000, so I didn't want to spend any more. So, because Ivan paid that, I was like, I don't know how he paid it, but I love Ivan. But they show up and like, you have to say this. You have to say you're not in the Florida show, but I am. I'm the definition of it. But you can't say that. I'm like, well.
So did you see a video, a conspiracy video?
No.
They just said to say it.
Yeah, he is really slurring his words in that interview. With hindsight and the knowledge of astroturfing, that's the spreading around of false rumours using anonymous social media accounts employed by corporations like Paramount and HBO, it would seem these bits of information that were fed to us were staged by the production company, like the scenes at the courtroom. These were spread around on Twitter and Reddit in September 23, but we now know it was in July. And I think Bam Margera saw teaming up with BJ as a way out of being involved in the TV show. I'm not going to call it a documentary. She posted another interview with him where he made a very disgusting comment about his girlfriend Danny. Or is it his fiance or wife? I don't know, because it's all fake with him. She's been completely ignoring that his behaviour for the past year does not align with anything she said she believed in, like beating up a homeless person, then coming to the UK and embarrassing himself, cancelling his whole tour, and using slur words against travellers, refusing to pay tattoo artists for their work, and just non-stop lying. He said in an Instagram post that she bought the 911 call from Nottingham Police, when anyone in the UK knows it's 999 and the police don't even do mental health checks in the UK anymore, and that getting police cam footage or any information from them would have been impossible. But she hasn't addressed it. So what happened to BJ Investigate? And he makes it obvious how he's regularly in contact with Reddit users.
For all you bozos that go on Reddit.
Instead, she's been running with this idea that me and some others have been gang stalking her and that we set her up.
But we're going to have to get into the gang stalking operation with the receipts, with the videos that have now been deleted, but I definitely downloaded to several different hard drives. I knew that Surprise Army was a setup. Always was. I knew it.
Which is funny because she said that to anyone who called her out when she inserted herself into the Mr. Beast drama. I made a video in May 24 and it was meant to be in good faith because I didn't know what information she knew. We were trying to say we were genuine, we looked into the people who weren't, and they were connected to the TV show and we knew it was dodgy. Anyone who tried to comment or let her know otherwise was blocked and we were called idiots. She even acknowledged from someone I'm still in contact with that there were genuine people in that server. So that's when you know that someone is not being honest with their audience and is not interested in the truth. Ignores her little buddy down the rabbit hole news. There's no way to communicate with them in a healthy way when they're surrounded by yes men and trolls.
Thank you, Bright Grace, for the super chat. Also, the Discord was never called that Surprise Army. Another lie they've told under penalty of perjury. Thank you for pointing that out because I wouldn't know. Discord turned out to be 10% real ones and 90% trolls. And thank you, Brett, for pointing this out. Divine Vigor said, I know the truth and I'll be emailing you. And thank you for the super.
So the longer this has gone on, the worse the lies have got. And now that I've heard about Jed Wallace's involvement with Bam Margera and the TV show's been on, I just wanted to put this out for anyone who's still confused. I don't know how people who investigate corruption in the entertainment world for years and or are activists thought that a corporate TV reality production was going to be anything other than trash TV. That's why I was surprised BJ even participated. But then a little while ago, I looked back and realised that she had left her law job because she wanted to be on a TV show about Britney Spears as a leader of the Free Britney movement. Only she's turned that into a story that Lou Taylor, Britney Spears' business manager, personally requested she stop making videos about her, which is a complete lie. And I'm only doing this not because it makes me feel good or I'm trying to catch you out, but you're just misleading people and you've got some horrible people around you. And they're being manipulative and nasty and begging people for money all the time. So in this now deleted video, I quit my $200k lawyer job for Britney Spears' manager. I only managed to get 3 screenshots and this was a while ago. She explains that she's asked to go on the show and so she informs her work and checks on the protocol regarding her social media, which when you're at one of the biggest mergers and acquisitions law firms in the world would be standard. So they say, well, it's a little unusual, but we don't have a problem as long as it's not one of our clients. So they do a check and TriStar, Lou Taylor's company, does not come up as a client. However, a little while later she gets called into her boss's office and is told that TriStar has come up as a client, and therefore it would be a conflict of interest for her to have those videos up. And without any investigation, she freaked out and said, "Oh my God, I knew this was going to happen. She's done this on purpose. She's trying to silence my activism." And then her boss says, quote, "Well, no, we don't know that. You don't want to go making those kind of accusations if you don't know for sure." And I'm like, okay, I've only been here 3 months and she's already miraculously a client of the firm. I don't believe that. It's a huge law firm and they're both in the same industry, which is consolidating corporate power and moving money around. Anyway, she chooses to leave because she didn't want to delete her content, and it has nothing to do with Lou Taylor sending a personal request, and a lot more to do with the corporate system and how they thought they were going to be able to control her, and was working all the time so wouldn't have been able to pursue her other interests, like being a YouTuber.
Because I promise you, it is not to take orders from some idiot that just happens to have been working at the fancy law firm for a few more years than me. That's not my purpose.
Then BJ, I heard about you going around telling everybody if I talk about you, I better come with facts. I'm not bothered or fussed to talk about you, BJ. You are simply not that interesting to me. And this whole attitude that you have, thinking that you're going to crack the case with Britney Spears, or you're going to revolutionize the internet with these investigations that you're doing, going to a Mason temple. Girl, calm the down. But I already didn't like BJ because there was some shit going on between us. I had changed my number anyway for a different reason, which Sloan had my number because we were in contact at that time. He ended up giving BJ my phone number without my consent. No consent at all. He just straight up gave her my number, and she called me and ambushed me on the phone one day. I was high as hell, you guys, and she was trying to come at me saying, well, are you going to talk about me? Because she was worried about what I was going to say about Jake Yonsei and Shelby.
I can't live my life for you and your opinions.
It's going to be the ultimate lesson in what you thought and you f***ed around and you found out. The ultimate lesson in that. So yes, I have the receipts, and yes, I will be putting together a video. Maybe it'll be on BJ Investigates. I really don't know. I didn't know. I went to Ivy League Law School, but I did not go to USC Dorn's Life Academy for Journalism and Fine Arts, or whatever they're doing over there. But are they teaching them at the Dorn's Life USC school? I want to know. Are they teaching them to run around and scurry about asking for comment off the record from people's friends before you ever ask that person anything?
Now, I keep going back to the Justin Baldoni lawsuit, and that's because when I read these messages from Melissa Nathan, who hired Jed Wallace, who said he was crushing it on Reddit, everything I had experienced with these accounts and comments made sense to me. That it's not bots inflating the negative attention or fake engagement, it's real people. And fan accounts you see posting about Free Bam and Free Britney run organically with AI and Google Analytics, and that the source accounts for rumours would be untraceable. And when I was trying to work out who these troll accounts were from the Free Britney movement, I noticed there was a crossover with other topics like Johnny Depp and Meghan Markle. Just look at the Drake lawsuit against UMG, another client of Melissa Nathan, who also used this style of crisis PR marketing. And what's interesting is how those accounts feed the YouTube channels like Popcorn Planet, who BJ is friends with, Kirsty Flahr, who was involved in the Blake Lively smear campaign. Although she denies it, it was her fat shaming video that went viral. Is credited in the Curious Case of Bam Margera program. What are the chances of that? And as I said before, Baldoni is suing a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist from the New York Times, but people want to believe a random Hollywood reporter on YouTube. Even if you don't go on all these other platforms, they still have an effect on you. So it's like a little smear campaign rumor ecosystem, which we got caught up in. And I am just trying to give an honest account. We couldn't figure out how these people who joined the server knew each other or what they had in common, because they came from all over different places. But a lot of them said they were in recovery and they love conspiracy theories and true crime. And Jed Wallace has a history of working with addicts and rehabilitation centres. So there's a lot of dots being connected. And so with BJ, if anyone tries to say anything that contradicts her opinions, it's not just her making videos about it, when obviously mentally they're not in the best place. She's got her little three musketeers that do a sort of policing in the comment section, and they write whole paragraphed essays, just like I've had people come and do in my comments about Blake Lively. And I know 2 of these people were in the server, which in super chat comments and all this nonsense they lied about, and they've spent years doing this. It is beyond me. But they are all over different platforms whenever you go to look up a video about Amanda Rabb or any other topic that BJ's talking about. So BJ, if you want to know about the gang stalking, I think you should do an interview with them, because I'm pretty sure this person who goes by an alias Edie Saffron, and rather than reply to my comment, my only comment I ever made on BJ's channel, she sent me 2 emails within 24 hours, and Jamie Gilmore and this person who's featured in the program made videos about it the next day and said I was paranoid. And only because I'm trying to figure it out. Somebody sent me a clip of when she was reacting to Down the Rabbit Hole News when she told her to go away because she was harassing her. And the reason why no one wants to speak about it is because she does harass you incessantly. But she said she had thousands of emails with Edie Saffron, who comments so much on Bam Margera's Instagram. People are telling her to seek counselling and suggesting she's Lima.
Go away. Fuck you. No, I'm not going away. The more you tell me to go away, the more I'm going to fucking be right up your fucking rabbit hole. Oh, I had lost interest in you, but boy, have you flipped that interest switch back on. I will find everything there is to fucking find out about you now. Go away. Oh, nope. The more you tell me to go away, the more I'm going to dig into your stupid fucking sick past. It makes me want to cry, but I'm all out of tears for these Anano clowns. I haven't spoken on the phone with Edie Saffron, but I have had thousands and thousands and thousands of words of email conversations with Edie Saffron over the last 6 to 8 months.
The other one, Spirit Queen, she has some lovely videos of dust floating around her house on her YouTube channel. So that's who's behind these comments that Lima thinks is a serious threat. I'm about to finish the video and I'm doing some last minute checks, as I do not want to talk about this ever again, when I see that some of the people that were in the show were included in Lima's declaration in her defamation lawsuit against BJ. And it's the same people she said were harassing her, so why would the TV show want to work with them? And one of the alleged doxing comments was screenshotted within 16 seconds. That would kind of seem like you made the comment yourself. And I don't know what's threatening about a puffball headband. I'd like to know what judge is going to take this seriously.
Dahlia was in Oklahoma with my mom. She had seen a video of BJ connecting me to sex trafficking and all of that.
That's because, if I remember correctly, you, Lima, had used it in one of your Instagram posts as a hashtag with a picture of your sister. This Bailed the Show is where they try to say that because in the comments it says that it's fact and true. Lima's sister Dahlia went into psychosis thinking that her and her mum were trying to sex traffic her. We will never know if any sex trafficking has gone on, but it started with Lima. And I've never heard of comments making someone go into psychosis. So calm and submissive when they arrested her. But it was Lima who disclosed that they had a very serious drug addiction, which would cause that. And when people are mixing all these drugs and prescriptions up, their brains are completely frazzled. And from what I've seen, most of the comments are in support of Dahlia and Dia. They posted an Instagram reel which seemed like they wanted to connect with people that were interested in them, but it was very quickly deleted, so we'll never know. I don't think anyone's after them, and as I've shown in this video, the people commenting have their own issues going on to deal with. So I hope this reassures them all. And I don't understand why, if Dahlia was so upset about the police cam footage being shown, why then allow it to be licensed by the TV company so it can be distributed even more, and then recreate another scene of her having a mental episode with someone that doesn't even look like her. And you're saying BJ's playing games with her audience, and what about Mark Later and the poor people he has on his channel going through episodes?
Dahlia's also working on getting all this internet stuff taken down.
Here she says Dahlia was mortified that this was shown. And this is the only thing Dia says in the whole episode.
I hope no one's forcing her against her will. You can't help but think like that. Scary.
It's just never made sense to me how Lima feels like she can manage other people's sobriety when she's not been able to do it for her sisters. Is this the reason why she wants to put the blame onto social media comments? And the theme of the program is how you can't trust the internet and how dangerous the comments and social media is. But every time she's asked to talk about their mental health, which is a serious subject that everyone wants to know about, she changes the story and it makes no sense. So people are going to go on making comments.
My sisters went to a party in LA and took Molly. Said they felt like they walked into hell.
She said they thought they heard the voice of God, and why do they have the same exact experience of everything? Doesn't sound like they took Molly to me.
That was the night that everything changed.
I don't get why she couldn't let her sister speak for herself. That's what's curious. And now they've released even more pictures of them. And Lima has been saying from the start she wanted her product to go viral. And before I forget, another creator called Sloan, who has nearly 1 million subs, he said in a comment, "It's not drama, it's murder." And Jess Margira responded. And I'm sure Lima knows it. And that's what you do with comments. And if someone's too much, then you just try your best to ignore it. And I've learned a lot from this experience.
Speech has consequences.
Why does it feel like they're trying to bring freedom of speech into it?
BJ's words pushed her over the edge.
I don't feel like that point was made very well. And the producers of this show put this idea together that there was a That Surprise army with the very same people Lima's meant to be afraid of.
And shifted the perspective of some members of that surprise army.
You never know what people on the internet are going to do.
I feel like the curious thing about the TV show is it tries to give us more misinformation, but then says we can't go online to ask questions and discuss. And to add insult to injury, they bring up Elizabeth Holmes and said she was a scammer that went to jail for 11 years.
She's in prison today doing an 11-year sentence.
But then Lima just wanted to be her. Do you think anyone called out Elizabeth Holmes and they were called dangerous? We're about to have fact-checking abandoned thanks to AI. Not being able to respond to reasonable criticism is a big red flag, but TV shows very much misuse social media to promote their own agendas and then make social media seem like the problem when we have much bigger issues going on. But anyway, enjoy your knitting and have a lovely day.